This is where all health begins. It all begins with God. And by the way, it's a very simple statement, reverence for God, but just because something is simple does not in any way mean it's not profound. Many of the most profound things in life are very simple. God makes it simple so that we can understand it. And so don't in some way think, well, it's just a simple statement. It can't be very, very, very deep. Yes, it's very deep to understand what reverence is all about, because this is where reverence for God is where all of your health begins. Your spiritual health, your emotional health, your mental health, your relationship health, all of it begins with a reverence for God. When did sickness and pathology and brokenness enter into our world? It entered into our world in Genesis chapter 3 when Adam and Eve lost their reverence for God. God said, here are two trees, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. I want you to never eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. I want you to reverence me by obeying my commands and doing what I'm asking you to do. And Adam and Eve, beguiled by the serpent, made the choice to not reverence what God asked them to do. And instead, they went their way and they listened to the voice of the serpent. And their failure to reverence God created not only sin, but death and sickness and all kind of brokenness. And by the time you get to the next chapter, their family's falling apart and Cain is killing his brother Abel. And by the time you get to the chapter 6, just 3 chapters later, the world is in such a mess that God has to send a great flood. See, things go down very quickly when you don't have a reverence for God. And part of the problem with our world today, and I'm not just standing on a soapbox sort of berating the darkness, but I am telling you this, part of the problem with our world today, the big problem with our world today is we've lost our reverence for God. That's why we have such evil around us, a lack of reverence for God.